So this is Temple Philea, otherwise known as the Isis Temple. And I thought I'd give you a bit of an overview from the outside looking in, because she is indeed on an island. This is the most beautiful, like, it's just so Isis. And you can see here, this is what we call the pylons. And, within there is kind of the Holy and Holy of Holies. And we access it, we sail past it here. And the water is just so still because we come here for an early morning private visit. This is actually the last private visit and the last real temple that we visit on this sacred mission and expedition. We have a couple of days after this, but then we move into the Essenes in downtown Cairo and the churches. So this is kind of quite a crescendo point on the tour that we have been collecting codes. We've been going, and then we get to this day, which is a 2-hour private visit, and we will watch the sun rise, and we will sit on the other side of the island and we watch it rise, and the birds and the stillness. And we do that in stillness. We just watch, we be still, we kind of acknowledge the journey we've been through together on the tour. And we acknowledge ourselves, and our Egyptian selves and our Stasi selves and all the rest of it. It's a real culmination coming together. And then we go into the Holy of Holies, and there is a beautiful plinth. It's very powerful in there. And we are witnessed by Isis. We'll stand and we speak our declaration. So now we know what we know after being on the tour. You now speak it out loud. And I've done this many times. And every single thing I said, this is what's going to happen. This is what I declare. It's your promise. Essentially, it's your promise. At the Great Sphinx, you placed your intention. And now your intention has come to pass, and you've been working with it. You're now planting the seed in the Isis temple of what it is that you proclaim that you are going to honor and uphold that promise beyond the tour. You're going to create what has come through you and share it with the world. That is your promise. So this is a very powerful visit for very, very good reason. And you feel the energy kind of go, oh, after today. So it's a very emotional day, and it's a beautiful day. Again, we dress in white and we go and we celebrate ourselves and each other, and we dance and we drum, and it's beautiful. So this is a very, very special day. So talking about Isis, okay, this whole temple is actually in honor of Isis, Osiris, Horus, and Bast, or Bastet. That is her. They say that the soul of Isis is Bastet, but it's all connected. And Isis is obviously, as we know, the divine mother, because her reflection is Mother Mary. But she's the divine mother, so she is the goddess of healing, like not Horus, like Hathor. She is the midwife, so she's all about creation as well. Divine feminine on fleek. She is a twin flame. She knew what it was to live in our bodies, because she had a physical incarnation, and she had to go through so much hardship. And she's also the goddess of perseverance, which many don't know her as, because when her husband was murdered, she had to go off and impregnate herself through spell and magic, by bringing all of his body parts back together, so she could actually impregnate herself through spell and magic and then bring Horus into fruition. She had to conceive him, but then had to spend 9-10 months living in the reeds like a hobo, like a homeless person, to not be killed by her brother's a jealous brother Set, who had taken the throne. So she had to go and have Osiris's baby Horus without anyone knowing, and kind of take him through his training and everything like that, just like Yeshua had to go through. Horus and Yeshua are known as the same beings, so they have the same lives. Big shoes to fill. Okay, their fathers were God and Osiris, and they had to be conditioned and trained to be able to fulfill the mission. So they're exactly the same as each other, but they also knew what it was like to be in a human body with human restrictions and having to go through the activations and the initiations. But Isis had to bring Horus into fruition, right? So she went through an awful lot to do that. So she's the goddess of perseverance. And when I feel challenged, I remember her, and she says, I know your tears. I know your tears. So she comes in as a great support in that respect as well. So she, with her wings, very, very powerful. I always feel her when she puts her wings around me, she is actually balancing my chakras and all sorts. So she will the more you work with her, the more she will show you. And I actually started this whole Egyptian journey with Isis. When I first went to Egypt, I kind of like fell into Egypt. I didn't really know why I was there. I fell into Egypt, had a very kind of like overwhelming experience in Egypt, felt very inadequate and thought, well, what was all that about? Didn't have the best time. And then after that, shortly after that, I went to Peru and I received a ISIS activation, a frequency activation on the top of a sacred mountain there. And then all of a sudden it became apparent. I was like, first of all, who is ISIS? That's how much I didn't know. And then as soon as I received that activation, everything started to unfold. And I went back to Egypt again and again and again. And here I am doing what I'm doing. So my point is with sharing this with you, be open to the breadcrumbs, okay? Be open to the guidance, expect nothing and just be open for all, right? And she will take you, she will show you, because she came through at the very, very first instance. She was the first connection with Egypt I'd ever made contact with. And then, of course, then there was Sekhmet and so on and so on. So it's a beautiful journey that they will show you and they will guide you through. So the embodiment of Isis will be completely activated when you go through this temple. So yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, she's a midwife, so she's also a powerful assistive in creation, same as Hathor. So there's so much I have to say about Isis. And then just to leave you with the story of, again, Waleed will kind of bring the mythology through for you. The reason we say we need to remember, you have to think about what Osiris's journey was. He was murdered by his jealous brother Set. Okay, because they were having a fight for Upper and Lower Egypt. And when he was murdered, Set threw him down the Nile in a coffin. And of course, Isis found him and brought him back. And then he basically took him and cut him up into 14 parts and then said, right, try and find him now. And threw his body parts all over Egypt. And she found them. She found everything except his phallus, which to us as knows is his item. Apparently was eaten by a fish, which is why he couldn't come back in full reincarnation, fully formed. He had to go to the underworld as a god because he didn't have all his body parts. However, she then went and got together with her twin sister Nephthys, who is very, very powerful with spell and magic and mysticism and all that kind of thing. And she got together with Thoth and she brought some spell casting together and she was able to impregnate herself because she basically remembered Osiris. She brought the divine masculine back together. So our whole journey and process of everything is the journey of Osiris, because we have been dismembered. We have been thrown all over the place over our past lives. Now we are remembering who we are. And that remembering will very much be activated, embodied, just brought online on the tablets of light. So, this is exactly what's going to happen. This is why I brought this into fruition, so we could remember ourselves. So this is why this is kind of like that balloon pop moment, as I call it, or maybe kind of like not a pop moment. It's a coming together. It's a re-embodying moment, because you are going to remember yourself, which is why this particular visit is where it is on the tour. So yeah, it's everything is strategically put exactly where it's supposed to be for good reason. So yeah. This is going to be epic and it's going to be powerful. So I cannot wait for this moment with you all.